Good afternoon and welcome to the Italian Research Day in Helsinki. My name is Paolo Borella and I'm here to walk you through this event to celebrate the research activities of Italians around the world and other in Italy as well. We're going to have the event in English to welcome as many people as possible to follow the sessions. And I welcome all of you to place questions via the YouTube stream that we'll try to handle during the sessions or toward the end of the sessions during the panel. And let's start with viewing a couple of videos about research activities for Italy around the world.
We often forget that this is the place where life originated. How much of who we are as a planet is related to our oceans, and how our future is connected to them. Italy is deploying an ecosystem of blue technologies to safeguard natural resources. Seas and oceans assess and prevent geological, environmental and climate risks, disseminate scientific knowledge and apply research to technological and socio-economic growth. The Italian icebreaker Laura Bassi supports the polar scientific community. An Italian research vessel capable of operating in Antarctica and the Arctic, obtaining information never gathered before in areas that are witnesses of Earth history, as well as prophets of our future. Using multiple advanced technologies, Italian researchers are today able to monitor and explore oceans' dynamics and environmental changes. The Earth speaks to us, and we must know how to listen to it. When we have the right tools, the sea gives us answers all the time. Floats are instruments carried passively by sea currents. They rise and fall under the surface up to 2,000 meters, measuring temperature, salinity, and biogeochemical properties to transmit to global satellite systems. Gliders are small autonomous underwater vehicles that carry out observations of the upper kilometre of the ocean, filling the data gaps left by the existing observing systems. Buoys provide us with important data about the health of the water, including temperature, a fundamental parameter not only for the marine ecosystem, but for the entire environment. With their GPS positioning systems, drifters make it possible to map sea currents. Collected data is used for oceanographic and climate research, representing an Italian contribution to global monitoring networks. Above the surface, aircrafts equipped with thermoscan cameras and CO2 surveying systems are used to detect marine phenomena, as cold and warm springs or jellyfish blooms. Data from satellites are interpreted to develop models and simulations for oceanographic studies through big data and supercomputers. With the objective of limiting increases in temperature by 2050, controlling natural emissions of CO2 and other geogases, the island of Panarea in Italy is an extraordinary natural laboratory from which to study the effects of climate change, to develop monitoring techniques, and to study the impacts on the ecosystem. Italian technologies also contribute towards the global effort in preventing and reducing geological risks, through the development of monitoring and rapid impact assessment tools, and by sharing knowledge of diverse natural phenomena, in particular tsunami, earthquakes, landslides, coastal erosion, marine geohazards, and their consequences. Italian advanced technologies are also used to prevent industrial risks at sea. For example, analysing the biological surroundings of offshore regasification platforms. Research results must be linked to the industrial and productive sectors to ensure cutting-edge know-how and technological advancement contribute to economic growth. Remotely operated vehicles and subsea sensors are key enabling technologies in the big challenge of submarine explorations and safety assessments. To help move innovations from the lab to the marketplace, it is important to invest in building capacities and develop skills that respond to the market labour needs. Training people and institutions in advanced techniques to explore our seas and oceans and to respond to environmental risks and global crises. Our oceans and seas are our biggest asset. That's why every day, Italy is using and improving blue technologies to move towards a brighter future for all of us.
All right, so we will today have a welcome from the ambassador. Then we will have the opportunity to hear Paola Erola from the University of Helsinki about the Italian research in Finland. We will continue then with the presentation from Igor Kurchov from Bell Labs about research in the industry and Italian contribution. We will then continue with a panel discussions together with Giulio Iacucci from the University of Helsinki and Vincenzo Cerullo as well, moderated by myself, to wrap up then toward 5:30. Let me now welcome the Ambassador of Italy in Finland, Sergio Pagano. The ambassador has been nominated to the Republic of Finland in July 2020 and has served earlier as Deputy Director General and Central Director of the Development Cooperation Departments in Italy and had multiple assignments in Europe at the Embassy of Italy in Vienna, at the Embassy of Italy in Paris, at the Embassy of Italy in Bucharest. And Ambassador, it's a pleasure to have you here. I'll welcome you on stage.
Yeah. Thank you for your open words, for your contribution in promoting today's meeting focused on the scientific and technological cooperation between Italy and Finland. First of all, I'd like to stress that today we want to celebrate Leonardo da Vinci, who was born in this day in 1452. And we want to celebrate the Italian research and science in the world. As it was said previously, the main goal of this initiative is to create useful connections between Italian and Finnish researchers, scientists, students, startups, innovators, and investors working in Italy and Finland. Moreover, the main goal of this initiative is to promote the Italian achievements in science and research, and at the same time to underline the importance of the scientific and technological cooperation in the broader context of the bilateral relations between Italy and Finland. Since my arrival here in Helsinki, I have realized that the relations between Italy and Finland are strong and deep-rooted. From the political point of view, Italy and Finland share the same vision on most of international relations, and in particular, Italy and Finland trust in the role played by the United Nations in order to prevent and solve international crises. In the cultural field, Italian and Finnish institutions cooperate in a profitable and fruitful way, and they organize some significant initiatives together every year. Even in the economic field, the relations are satisfactory. For instance, in the last few years, the bilateral trade has increased in a significant way. And at the same time, some Italian firms, an increasing number of Italian firms are operating here in Finland, while some important Finnish groups are present in Italy. But there are grounds to improve this situation. And for this reason, we have organized today's meeting, because we believe that Italy and Finland hold a leadership position in some fields such as new technologies, innovations, digitalization, green transition, and especially technological and scientific cooperation. As you know, the pandemic has reshaped our economies, our societies, our lives, even international relations. For this reason, it was not possible to organize today's meeting in person because of the pandemic. And that's why we had to organize this meeting in a virtual way. But I hope that in the next future, it will be possible to promote new initiatives with support of Italian scientists and researchers living here in Finland, in order to make our relationship more and more effective. It is very important that in these hard times we multiply our efforts in order to explore new ways of cooperation, in order to make our relation more and more fruitful and profitable in the common interest of our two countries. I want to conclude I wish all the best with this initiative. I hope there will be an open and constructive discussion, and I'm confident this initiative will contribute to pave the way for a deeper and closer cooperation in the scientific field, and I am sure this initiative will be a profitable occasion to share views, knowledge, perspective, in order to make our relations more effective and more profitable in the common interest of Italy and Finland. Thanks a lot.
Ambassador Pagano, thank you very much. I really appreciate your introduction. And I now have the pleasure to announce a contribution from Paola Erola, that is Vice Rector at the University of Helsinki. Paola has worked for 13 years at the University of Helsinki. Prior to that one, she has spent 10 years at CERN in Switzerland, and as well as 10 years in Sweden, and has a personal relationship with Italy. So, Vice Rector Erola, thank you for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you here, and the stream is yours.
Thank you for this very nice invitation. And let me share you my screen here. I hope that you are able to see it all, and I put it in a full screen mode, something like this. Yes. And it is a pity that we cannot join the nice event together. But on the other hand, this virtual mode gives us more possibilities to reach a broader set of people. So the title of my talk is the state of Italian research in Finland, but I will not bore you so much with the numbers and statistics, but I will rather give you my reflections around this topic and look a little bit back in the history about how our relationships have been developing between Finland and Italy. So, as we all know very well, so that Italy has a strong and old tradition of fundamental research and research institutions. The modern universities were first founded in Italy already 1,000 years ago. And the University of Bologna was attracting students from all over Europe for higher education. So if we look back to 1088, so how was Finland then? Well, we do not really know because Finland didn't really exist and there were no written records even. The first official written record where Finland is mentioned dates actually from 1172, and that letter was written in Frascati by Pope Alexander III to the Archbishop of Uppsala, Sweden. And that letter complains about Finns, that it says that every time Finns are threatened by enemies, they ask for help from Christian priests and promise to keep their Christian faith. But when the danger is over, so they abandon Christianity and curse the Christian God. So at that time, there was no Finland to speak about, no schools, and obviously no universities either. The first university in Finland, which then a bit later became as part of Sweden, was the University of Helsinki, founded in Turku in 1640. So in the Middle Ages, it is actually estimated that some 150 Finnish students were educated in European universities, mostly Paris and the German universities. So we don't know whether there were Finnish students in the Italian universities, but of course it's not unlikely given the joint Catholic religion at that time. So Italians have a long tradition of exploring new regions and transferring knowledge from and to Italy, although there wasn't really an Italy, but the Italian peninsula at that time. We know about Marco Polo and Christopher Columbus and many others from the historic days, and then jumping very fast forward to the past century, we know that the impact of Italian researchers to the scientific leadership of the United States is really indisputable. So what about the Italians and Finland? Finland has never been a target of massive emigration, but there has been a small and constant trail of Italians ending up here in North. And starting from this gentleman, Carlo Bassi, who was born in Torino in 1772. So he moved first to Sweden, to Stockholm, and then to Turku around 1800. And he was the first professional architect in Finland, and a field of knowledge that Finns are nowadays very famous of. An interesting connection to the University of Helsinki is actually that he made the drawings to the very first astronomical observatory of the university, although his design was never realized in the end. So, and then winding back forward closer to the present day. So the Finnish universities have become international quite recently. So not too long time ago, the requirements for a professorship in a Finnish university were the full proficiency of civil servant proficiency of both Finnish and Swedish languages, which obviously were big obstacles for foreigners. So the major game changer at the university world was then in the end the university reform in 2010, which separated the universities from the state and gave the universities autonomy to define the academic requirements themselves, for example. And the universities created a new tenure track system for recruiting professors, and this opened up the possibilities for younger international talents to compete for positions leading to a full professorship. Another game changer has been the international student mobility through the European Union programs, the Erasmus program, and through the internationalization of the university's master's and doctoral programs that were also affected by the university reform. So indeed, the number of Italians living in Finland has increased by 70% from 2010 to 2019. Of course, not all of them are researchers or university students, but many are. And the total number today is, I think, about 2,400. So at the universities, we are at the moment at the first generation internationalization phase, meaning that our international researchers are at their most active phase and most productive phase. And this is also clearly visible among our Italian researchers. And this is a gallery of some of them at the University of Helsinki. Looking, for example, at the European Research Council grant winners, we can find that at the University of Helsinki, we have 5 Italian ERC grants. So 2 of them to Vincenzo Cerullo, who you will meet later on. And the others being Andrea Ganna, who is doing genome research, Federico Bianchi in atmospheric science, and Enrico De Mini in geography. So we have also other prominent Italian professors like Giulio Iacucci in computer science, who you will also meet, Sabrina Maniscalco in quantum physics, and Sara Negri in theoretical philosophy. So as you can see that the range of fields is very broad, and these are all both very deeply probing the scientific foundations, but also fields where there is a lot of renewal going on at the moment, such as genome research or quantum technology. Among the doctoral students, also the Italian presence is clearly visible. And you can also hear it when we are in the place. For example, in my own research environment, the physics department, and I have myself supervised an Italian PhD student who is now successfully continuing his career at the Imperial College London. So the cultural encounters enrich our lives and make us more creative at our work. And Italian researchers in Finland have brought us solid knowledge and incredible working morale, creativity and imagination. And while we, on our side, we hope that we have provided them a good and predictable environment at work as well as in private life. So I want to finish off by showing you reflections of North and South by one of our Italian top professors, Sabrina Maniscalco from Sicily, who is a prominent researcher in quantum physics at the University of Helsinki. And I think that Santeri will show you this YouTube clip, and I put the link here also, but I will stop my slideshow here and let Santeri to try to show you the YouTube part.
If you would ask me, I'd say I am definitively South. I was born with one blue eye and one black eye in a beautiful island in the center of Mediterranean Sea, Sicily. An island of striking contrasts and extreme feelings, breathtaking beauty, all shades of red between the sea and the sky, but also forgotten ruins, earthquakes and ghost cities, fire, abandoned dreams, death, passion, 6 million loud inhabitants, stolen hopes, and super delicious food. When I was 14, with my friends, we had absolutely no idea where Helsinki was. At that time, at school, maps of Europe looked like this. Nowadays, luckily, the situation has changed, and this is the way in which Italians see Europe and Finland. But back then, I would not conceive the possibility of staying in a small room at 80 degrees, surrounded by naked people, possible, really, or let alone fun. And I thought that I would never, ever, in my life, for any possible reason, leave my beautiful island. So, how come this? At the age of 40, I find myself married to a Finnish man, working in a Finnish university, a great enthusiast of smoke sauna, secretly hoping for joulupukki to arrive and the snow, and enjoying eating risipuro with cinnamon with frozen fingers at the Christmas market. So what happened in between? Well, I became a physicist, and I started to travel up and down the globe for work. Every year or two, I would pack everything I had in a 20-kilogram suitcase, and off I went to follow my dream to be a quantum physicist. After my PhD in Palermo, I went to Sofia, Bulgaria, then for a quick pit stop in Palermo before heading south all the way to Durban, South Africa. Then up again to Sofia, Bulgaria, up north, first time in Finland, Turku. Then a little bit down and left to Edinburgh, and then finally, I'm back to Turku. So I think I know what I mean when I say living in north or in south. And by the way, this is the way in which Bulgarians see Europe and Finland. You see, not a huge difference in the way in which Italians and Bulgarians see Finland.
Thank you very much, Paola. This was really inspiring to hear such an incredible contribution beyond what I was expecting about Italians to the University of Helsinki. And actually, I had the pleasure as well to cooperate on a daily basis with the Department of Agriculture while I run the Food Accelerator Network from VTT for Nordic and Baltics. And, you know, I've been equally enjoying the opportunity to cooperate with university. And well, yes, thank you very much, Paola. And let's now move forward. I think that I would like to look at a different perspective. So I would like to look from the academic side, shifting to the industry perspective. And we have actually the pleasure to have today with us Igor Kurcho. There is Bell Lab Distinguished Member of Technical Staff and a long-time employer at the iconic Nokia Technologies unit of Nokia. Dr. Kurcho has been active in several standardization organizations since 1999 and he's currently convener of the ISO IEC JTC1 SC29 WG2 on MPEG technical requirements. And Dr. Kurcho holds about 300 international patents and published over 80 scientific papers. Dr. Kurcho, thank you for joining us. I think it's a pleasure to have you with us, and we are thrilled to have your contribution.
Paolo, can you hear me?
Hello, Paolo. Igor, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Excellent.
Can you hear me?
Yes, thank
All
you for
right,
joining
great.
us. Igor, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much, Paolo, and thanks for the invitation to this great event. And when I saw the video by Sabrina, I was really feeling emotional because I had a similar experience than Sabrina, coming from the same island, Sicily, up to Finland. I would like to say today a few words about myself, and I'm going to share also a few slides. I hope you can see it now. Are they visible, the slides? Okay,
it's okay, go ahead.
All right, thanks. So today I'm going to talk, say a few words about innovation and research in the industry. And first of all, I'd like to use a few minutes to tell some words about my life trip. I'll make it short. I do not have a beautiful video like Sabrina has been showing, but I only have a few slides. And I moved to Finland in 1998, so it's now 23 years ago. And I initially moved for a short period, perhaps 1 year or so. And after 23 years, I'm still here. So it's amazing how time has been passing. And I had already some 10 years work experience when I moved to Finland, and I was interested in doing PhD studies, but also I wanted to do an experience in the industry. And Finland gave me this opportunity to do both things at the same time. So I actually started the PhD program in Tampere and also started to work for Nokia. It's the same company that I am still working today since 1998. So 23 years in Finland and 23 years in Nokia. Finally, I got a PhD in Tampere University of Technology, which is today Tampere University. And throughout the length of the studies, I have to say that I noticed some differences between the systems in the university in Italy and also the system in Finland. I can say that in Finland, it has been quite practical as an experience. It is very much true that the Finns are quite pragmatic, and I was coming with a background of a lot of theory and a lot of mathematics from Italy, and in Finland I had to go through a more practical approach. That was very nice for me because I was very close to the industry. So university in Finland does not mean only theory, but it means also a lot of practical applications and also applied research. So I was then thrown into the research world, and I had two sides: one side with the company and one side with the university. And the very nice thing was that the two worlds were exactly matching. So it was possible for me to do research at university and research at the company on the exact same topic. So this means that I wasn't required to do a double effort, but with a single effort, I could actually capture two things. Throughout the years, I also had the opportunity to work as a lecturer at the same university for one of the courses offered in signal processing, and that was a very nice experience. And then I had the opportunity to work also in a standardization organization. So this is more or less what has happened in the last 23 years. And I really want to bring this as an example for an experience, perhaps for other Italians that would like to try how is life in Finland from the work perspective and also from the study perspective. But next thing I would like to say a little bit more about research in the industry. And now I'd like to focus more, still continuing with my own experience. And I must say that the research in the industry means, first of all, doing applied research. So things are very concrete and they are tried and tested first in small demonstrations, like software demonstrations, but then they may become something bigger, like a prototype. A prototype is something which is in between a demonstration, which is a very fast, and a product. And then when, of course, things get more serious, the research ideas, they become products, meaning that some bits and pieces of research are visible into products. And it's very nice when there is an idea that becomes something more concrete, to see that it is then sold and shipped into millions of products, like, for example, Nokia products in the years, like mobile phones or mobile networks. So research may lead or may not lead to innovations. It depends on which side of research people are staying. And also, one important aspect is that innovations may be patented. So if they are really novel and they have a value for commercializations, companies may decide to patent those ideas. And this means that a patent actually is giving the right to the company to forbid the implementation of a given innovation in a product in one or more countries, unless a license is given. And this is a world which is really, really interesting, when there is a research connected to innovations, connected to patents, and then connected to products. One important thing when it comes to innovations is the relationship between innovations and standards. Technology innovations may end up into products, like I mentioned. For example, they may end up in mobile phones or network infrastructures, which are the main products for Nokia. Innovations can be kept as a proprietary. So you may see, for example, a particular technologies that are only available in some products of one company, but innovations can also be offered to the whole global community via technology standards. So that's also another very interesting side of these technology worlds. So it's called standards, and then there are a lot of implications when working with standards. And I also would like to have one slide about this. So the standards are typically contributed by companies, by universities, by research institutes, perhaps also by individuals. The only requirement is to have a good idea, or to be on top of given technologies. Even individuals can contribute to standards. The advantages of standards are many. First of all, in the technology area, they can provide a technical interoperability. And then we have one example, which is a great example of mobile networks and mobile phones. So what does it mean? It means that when you take a Nokia phone, for example, this phone is able to connect to a network either in Finland or in another country in the whole world, even if the network is produced by another vendor, saying, for example, Samsung or Huawei or another vendor. So how does this happen? How come that a Nokia phone is able to go through a Huawei network and then talk to another phone, which is perhaps produced by Samsung? So you have like three vendors together. This is only happening through the means of standards. The standards are a set of rules which are written into standards specifications, which are documents that allow systems to talk to each other. So according to these rules, then products are implemented. So mobile phones are implemented according to the 3G standards, 4G standards, 5G standards, as well as network infrastructures are also implemented according to those standards. So every vendor has to comply to those standards in order to put those products in the market. That's the only way to guarantee technical interoperability among different vendors. And that's a great advantage, because otherwise we will not be here talking to each other and then having phones of different vendors and then having phone calls. So that's the very first advantage of having standards worldwide. The second great advantage is that standards foster collaborative effort. This means that there are several companies, several institutions, or universities gathering in these standardization organizations. They work together. They have the most brilliant brains that are meeting several times in a year in order to discuss and to evolve the technologies that will be in products in the future, let's say 1, 3, 5, 7 years or more in the future. So it's a collaborative effort, which is great, because it's really covering the whole world and the whole large set of experts. Another advantage is that standards foster innovation and also technical competition. It means in practice that since there are hundreds of brains that are sitting together and trying to solve the next generation problems, of course, this brings innovation, this brings development of technology, and then there is also a bit of competition, because I perhaps would like to have my idea better than another company's idea, so I try to think in ways on how I can improve another company's idea, and vice versa. So it's a really, really nice game when it comes to working into standards organizations. And then, as last, standards are open because they allow several companies and universities, research institutes, like I mentioned before, even individuals, to contribute. So there is a possibility of the whole world community to contribute for the benefit of the world. I probably used most of my minutes, and I would like to give now example of successful standards. And this is also my last slide. So I have 3 categories of examples of very successful standards in the last 20 years or more. So I mentioned the cellular standards, for example. So when you think about the GSM networks, so 3G networks, 4G networks, or 5G networks, and mobile phones, these are a good example of standards, and they have been produced by an organization called the 3GPP, which stands for Third Generation Partnership Project. Be careful, it's not only about 3G and third generation, they go beyond the 4G and 5G and also 6G in the future. Another example, it's multimedia standards. So think about the DVD. So I think every one of us has a DVD at home. So the DVD and the video format for DVD is also called MPEG-2. So MPEG-2 is one of the DVD formats for video that has been also standardized some years ago, as well as the standard for the digital television, the DVB standard, and also the DVB-T2 standard that will soon replace the DVB standard. They have been basically the video, the television that we receive at home are according to the AVC and HEVC standard that have been also developed by the same standardization organization, which is, by the way, an ISO organization. And ISO is a worldwide standard organization which is based in Geneva, and it's under the wings of the United Nations. The VVC is one standard which is forthcoming, so it has been finalized, and we will see this in the future televisions and also devices. When it comes to audio standards, I think every one of us knows MP3 audio, so that's another. And also we are, I guess, used to have MP4 files for videos, so that's another thing. So they are all standardized by the same moving pictures expert group within the ISO. But we also have other types of communication standards, for example. So when we talk about IP networks or packet networks, IP, Internet Protocol, is a standard developed many, many years ago by the IETF, or Internet Engineering Task Force. And then the last one I want to mention is also what we use today for browsing all websites. So HTTP, and then a semicolon slash something. I guess you know this. So the HTTP is another standard. It's a protocol defined by the Internet Engineering Task Force. So these are just examples I wanted to give you to show the value of standards worldwide, and this is why I got so much interested, and also in the last years working also in standards organizations. By the way, I'm also working in 3GPP, in ISO, and also in the IETF. So I have been touching all three worlds in the standards community. Okay, I think I do not have any more material with me. Thank you very much. Paolo, back to you.
Igor, thank you very much, but I have a couple of questions, if you don't mind. And
yes.
First of all,
Pleasure.
actually, I'm very curious. What are you most proud of in your research career?
Oh, it's a good question. Actually, first time that I get this question. I'm probably very proud of having made some innovations that are now part of some standards that are also implemented by companies, by different products. So this is a very nice thing. So to see the innovations somewhere.
Excellent. Yes, and I can see that your passion for the technology comes through all your life experience. Thanks for sharing that one. Actually, before closing, maybe one more question that it could be interesting for our audience, especially from Italy. How can an Italian student or researcher can join Nokia or maybe even the Bell Labs to become a researcher in this field? What's we heard about your path, but what is your recommended path to reach it?
So first, I could recommend in terms of way how to study. So try to look at the practical aspects of the studies when students are studying in Italy. So do not look only at the theoretical part, but give enough importance to the practical aspects. It means implementation. It means studying programming languages, for example. So try things into the systems and not just stay at the theoretical level. And then in terms of topics, I could recommend students to go for topics like cloud computing, telecommunications, artificial intelligence, machine learning, multimedia technologies like video processing, video technologies, transmission of audio and video, analytics, and then also virtual reality, augmented reality. These are the things that are really the topics for the future. Yeah, these are my recommendations.
Igor, thank you very much for coming and joining us here and for giving these suggestions to the Italian audience. And well, all the best for your continuation.
Thank you very much, Paolo. Thanks for the invitation.
Thanks, Igor. And well, now let's move forward, and I would like to introduce a panel, and so we can have a little more of interactive discussions. And I will welcome any of you who have questions to place it on the YouTube chat so that we can then eventually handle your questions before the end of the session. And I would like to, well, welcome here for the panel two very interesting persons. So I would like, first of all, to welcome here Vincenzo Cerullo. Welcome, Vincenzo.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
Vincenzo, you're a professor at Biological Drug Development and scientific founder at Valo Therapeutics. And you started your career in Italy, but then you moved for 10 years in Houston, in US, and then ended up for 12 years in Finland. You are a leading scientist, and according to Expertscape, you are ranked number 7 in the world and number 3 in Europe, and for your specialties. So, and you are an active entrepreneur and disseminator of your research activities. And if I don't remember wrong, you're even been nominated Cavaliere della Stella d'Italia for your merits in binding Italian and Finnish research. Congratulations for all these achievements.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
And Giulio, we have here you as well. Thank you very much for joining us. And Giulio, it's a pleasure to have you here. And you are, well, I think that you have been contributing for a number of years here in Finland as well. Maybe we can start, and you want to introduce yourself about your role and how you ended up being in Finland.
Absolutely. First of all, what I do here in Finland, we research with many talented researchers and collaborators. We research new ways for people to interact with computing and computers. To make an example of some work we did recently is to try to see if we can search with our mind. So use our brain signals to search the internet. And this is, we're trying to push the imagination of how to improve our lives and find new ways to interact with computers. For example, while we're reading news, we can read physiological signals and try to detect if we find some news funny or in some way evokes bad feelings. But also other examples I'd like to give. There is one project that I'm particularly fond of that has to do with exploring a city and trying to think how can we appreciate and learn more of culture in all our beautiful European cities. And what you have noticed over the years is that people more and more are focused on their device and walk around the city endangering themselves and other people going under a bus, and in the end they don't appreciate what is around them. So what we did in this project, we developed new ways to guide people and interact through haptics, which means vibrations and other things that you can wear on the hands, and intercranial speakers, so you don't even see that you wear any earphones. So I think we have a lot of fun. I think that's what I do mostly here in Finland, is having a lot of fun.
How did you end up here? I mean, you are now a professor of computer science at the University of Helsinki, and you're a serial program coordinator in new projects, and as well as active entrepreneur in the startup environment. How did you end up here?
Well, I came here as a freshly graduated student, and I started my PhD here at what used to be called the Helsinki University of Technology. Now it's founded into a much bigger and interesting art, technology, and business university called Aalto. But now, of course, I'm very proud of being at the University of Helsinki. So I did my whole academic career here, here in Finland.
And how good is to be a researcher and professor in Finland?
Okay, now I want to make a small joke about how usually there are countries in Europe that are different in the ways that the organizational structures are, let's say, configured. So to make an example, Italy and maybe also Germany, there is quite a very quite strict structure of having a professor, and then the let's say the students are more garbage in a way. They are not very hierarchical structure. And in Finland we have a quite flat structure, so it's very nice. But if I would choose my life again, maybe I'd like to be a student in Finland, because here we promote a lot of young people and talent, and maybe then retire or be my full career finish in Germany and Italy, where professors are let's say have much more of a I don't know how to say,
charismatic
role, yes,
structure.
We take it as a joke.
Vincenzo, what about you? I mean, you had a very different path that brought you here to Finland.
Yeah.
You want to tell me a little more about
Yeah.
what happened to you that brought you to Finland?
Yeah, well, I was brought to Finland for two love. One was a love towards my wife. We were living in Houston before coming here. We got married, and after a couple of months, we got married, and we decided, of course, to have a family. We started exploring where would be, perfect place to raise a family and to have a family. And my wife being Finnish, and of course me knowing already something about Finland, we realized that probably compared to Houston, but compared to many places on Earth, Finland is actually place you want to raise your family for a million of reasons we don't have time to go through, but that's just it. Just it. There was one love. The other love was the love towards the research I do. I do mainly cancer research in a personalized way. I'll tell you very soon what I mean when I say that. But in Houston, I was working on gene therapy, in the sense I was trying, let's put it, I failed in my project of curing one coagulation factor disease called hemophilia 8. Because of the toxicity of the vector I was using. I was one day in a seminar led by a guy or professor called Bruce Budeler, who got the Nobel Prize a couple of years later for his discovery. And I really liked the seminar. I started thinking that probably this is exactly what I should do. I should start to understand how viruses interact with human beings. I mean, we have been married with these guys since we were monkeys. And I was so thrilled to really understand what viruses do to us and what we do to viruses. So I started this line of research there. And then at some point I realized that indeed those viruses were fantastic platforms to cure cancer. But there was no such a program in Houston. So for me, together with of course, personal wife-related and family-related reason, I also found a fantastic opportunity to come here and join a group which was very on the edge on using viruses to cure cancer back then. I sent an email to this guy called Professor Axel Hemminki, 8 o'clock Houston time, PM. A little bit skeptical, he replied in 40 minutes, and in 2 hours I was hired, and I think in 2 days later I had a very good scholarship from Finland. So then rest is history. Well, I moved 6 months later. I mean, I found a lot of resistance from my American boss to let me go, but nevertheless we came here, and then I start doing what I do, which in one word is. We take viruses, and which we know all that we are very good as human beings to fight viral infection. Please forget for COVID-19 for a second, but usually human being is very good in fighting viral infection, because our body can recognize viruses very, very well. But this doesn't work with cancer. If you think about it, the reason why we don't really cure cancer is because cancer is stealth for a very long time before we realize it. So triggered by this, I start thinking into something that why don't we take viruses and then we decorate, we cover viruses with piece of tumors, which are technically called antigens. When we give this very innocuous virus to the patient, the immune system of the patient is very well alerted because there is a viral infection. So they start mounting an immune response to fight the viral infection, but because the virus is now covered with the tumor, the power of this immune response does against the tumor, not the virus, because the immune system cannot separate anymore what is the virus and what is the tumor. So we have called this technology peptigrad, and this is mainly what we do in the lab, and a lot of satellite projects that aims at understanding what are those specific tumor signature that we can attach onto this virus. So this is in very brief story why I came here and what I'm doing here.
Fascinating to hear a positive view about viruses, balancing what we hear every day nowadays
Yes,
about
you're
COVID.
very right. I mean, the good side of viruses or the other side of the coin. Yes,
Or how to make good a virus
exactly.
for our life. And I hear you have quite a few Italians in your lab and doing research with you. Can
Yes.
you elaborate a little more about
Yeah, I
this?
mean, about 50% of my research group is about 12 to 20 people, depending on the time you come visiting us. 50% of this is from Italy. The other 50% is from around the world. I would say 80 or 90% are Finns. I really love this combination. While Paola was talking, I was reflecting on her fantastic words, to be honest. And I was thinking, she mentioned creativity and she mentioned, excitement and moral to the. That's very true. I mean, the corridor of our department is it's always like loud Italian, working and having fun. So absolutely, and I mean, it might be a stereotype, but we are very creative. But what I love about Finns and what I love about this combination, Finns says that they have a drive for innovation. We might be creative, but creativity on its own doesn't lead you anywhere. Uh, Creativity needs to become something. And I think this combination with Finns that they are so into innovation, they really understand the word, what innovation really means. Finns have been innovators for a very long time. I mean, I think about Linux and all the story with software. And I mean, they're really on the edge. They like to be on the edge. The infrastructure here in Finland and in Helsinki are always on the edge. I mean, you take the metro and your phone, you can talk on the phone, you can talk on 5G, on 4G, and you're like you're 200 meters down. So I think that's the perfect mix, and that's the reason why probably our research group actually I mean, I'm a humble leader there, but that's the reason why they are so successful, because I think this combination really works.
So combining the Italian creativity with the Finnish pragmatism and capability to deliver results.
Yes, and to understand the beauty of innovation. I mean, innovation is a simple word, but very complex to really explain what that means. I think they really do. I mean, they perceive innovation on a different scale than I could perceive what the word of this. They're really excited for it. They really want to do something new. Uh, Sometimes you talk to people on something very innovative, and they go like, "Yeah, but not very sure this will work." I mean, this kind of attitude, I'm pretty sure is not going to work. Finns, although they're, we might think they're known for their pessimism, but when it comes to innovation, they have a very long view, so they really go for it.
Excellent. And actually, you mentioned something about having mixed teams and from mixing different culture. So this mobility aspect is something very interesting that I think brings value. So Giulio, Maybe you want to help us a little more about how do you see this opportunity or the value in this, mobility and being able to mix culture from different areas. And for instance, with research visit, or I hear that you have been doing many research projects across Europe.
Yes, I'm very grateful to Europe and to the European Commission for the funding it provides. It allowed us over decades to do really exciting, innovative research. In particular, several projects we literally had mostly just Italian and Finnish partners to address various topics I mentioned before. Access to culture and use of technology like augmented reality, but also looking at energy efficiency. Now that we talk a lot about the green economy, we looked at, it was already 10 years ago, we look at how to help people change their behavior and live in a more sustainable way. And in all of these experiences has been extremely important to team up and contrast the requirements and practices of the North and the South, and out of this diversity, there is really very good fertile ground for creativity, and I really recognize what Vincenzo was saying about joining these different qualities of Italian researchers and Finnish researchers. Just now, I'm coordinating a European project called CoAdapt, which is about aging. As I started feeling myself a bit having all sorts of problems, I thought I'd better focus on this topic right now. But here, again, perfect examples. We have university in Italy, University of Padova, University of Trento. We have Electrolux Italia, SPA. We have we have basically 12 different partners that are mostly from Italy and Finland, and we address the problem: how can we help aging workforce to remain active and healthy? And we do this with really state-of-the-art technology, with the focus a lot on mental health. Mental health is a very big problem, and now most of my research right now is going in the direction of health, so I'm getting closer to Vincenzo in some way. But really the pandemic for us has been, especially for the mental health area, has been something very striking, because already before the pandemic, the students, a lot, of course, if you talk about aging, mental well-being is a big thing. And then the question of what can we do with technology to help this kind of situations. And we are already doing a quite exciting thing. We have a new startup in preparation that uses conversational technologies in the mental health area, and it's a lot about teaming up Finns with Italians, a lot.
So if I, think about being an Italian and still studying university and thinking about doing an experience abroad to broaden my skills or my competence, maybe do my, thesis, or doing my Erasmus, or doing my PhD or postdoc, what would you suggest if I'm an expert in your field? How can I try to join your department for temporary or for a more long-term role?
Yes, we have every year. I don't have as many Italians in my actual group as Vincenzo. The nationality in our group is very, very spread. There is no nationality that really wins, but I have a constant stream of researchers, especially postgraduate level, that visit the lab, mostly from a network from these European projects, and they visit for several months, and then at times they find also opportunities, but many times we just do great research and they go back home very happy. But for Italian, we have the University of Helsinki has a very good connections and agreements, for example, with the University of Padova, and that really facilitate the mobility of students also on undergraduate level, and so that the students can come here, do a master thesis, and get to know either Vincenzo or me, and work on exciting problems. So at every career level, there is possibility. And as Paula mentioned, I'm very, very impressed by the internationalization of our university. It is true also for Aalto University and Finnish University in general, but this really opens the door for talent. So there is a lot of opportunity for talented people.
Yes.
Yeah, and Vincenzo, you mentioned as well about like this value of having internationalizations and mixing culture and having experiences in different locations. How to join your team?
Well, pretty much the same. We have a lot of Erasmus, especially from University of Milan, Siena, Padova, and Naples. Those are the four universities that, for a reason or another, I'm constantly, I would say bombarded, but I cannot say it to be politically correct. So emailed, and of course there is. I call it our assistant in the lab. It is our, airplane controller, that to make sure that we don't explode into 40, 50 people, because then, of course, the seniors start to be crazy. So we try to take no more than 4 or 5 Erasmus per year, but we do take at least 5. The majority come from Italian university. When there is the opportunity, and it's, I would take all of them, no doubt. And I would, they are motivated, they are good, they want to stay, they do well. When funds allow, we ask them to stay. So that's pretty much the same. They come, they stay in the lab for 6 months, 7 months. They start to work on their thesis and everything. When I have money and they are very good, we ask them to stay, and most likely, they stay.
Actually, one of the most striking things I realized when I came to Finland, that it was totally new for me, was on how well students are paid doing summer jobs. That I was used as a student to do side jobs or summer jobs as well, but in Italy, the compensations were, let's say, marginal.
Yes.
And we were happy about the opportunity to do it. But here in Finland, even students are very well paid compared to European standards.
Absolutely.
You do the same as well in your department. Do you have summer students?
We do have summer students. They get paid. Of course, less than PhD student, but they do get paid for the work they do, which is also a good opportunity for them to get their hands dirty, and also to get some money for the summer. So yes, we do it. They are usually not Italian, at least for the summer job. Reason being because I think we have a 1 month of gap between the summer, so it's very difficult for us to arrange that. Yes.
Yes, the logistics.
Yes, the logistic doesn't work as well as for Finns.
Yes. And actually, from that point of view, I need to mention that as well. I do recruit trainees for summer jobs at the VTT, so to help me run the food accelerator program that I run there. And I normally take at least one for a couple of months. But for instance, this year we take them for 4 months.
Okay.
And we engage them, and I think it's a great opportunity to get your hands dirty into real practice. So to see not only the academic side, but even the industry side,
Yes.
and to do, to put your learnings on
Absolutely.
practice on a
Yes.
daily basis. And from that point of view, maybe let me introduce something a little more about, when I was preparing for these sessions, and I did a bit of investigations, and I realized that in VTT, where I work at the moment, that actually is for those who are not familiar with it, is actually the Finnish Applied Research Institute. And they work on a number of domains for food and agriculture, but as well as to applied research for nanotechnologies and chemistry and other fields that I've chosen as strategic ones. And I was impressed that we have actually, out of 2,000 researchers, there are probably more than 10 Italians working actively. And then we have as well guests, not only as summer students, but we even have PhD students, and we have actually visiting professors. So I was in contact with Pierangelo Metrangolo, that is from Politecnico di Milano, where I graduated as well. And he has been helping Finland since 1997 or 1999. And, he has been actually advising even the Embassy of Finland on the chemistry field in 2006, 2008. 2008, actually, to be sure. And he's nowadays been visiting professor for molecular recognition at the VTT Research Institute Center since 2011. Cool. And among the things that I noticed, yes, at VTT, we're actually accepting applications at the moment for PhD for ERCIM program. So basically, European Research Consortium for Informatics and Mathematics for rotation research here in Finland. So I love these opportunities even the European community give us to, travel and to experience and mix culture. So from that point of view, that's really great. And if we go back to, well, spreading the word and in a way communicating and then, helping the young and the talented one to go abroad and to, grow their culture and their competences and network. I hear, Giulio, that you have been involved quite a lot in events, and you're actually in the Intelligence User Interface Conference, that is one of the most prestigious in the field. You have been nominated as organizer there, if I hear right. Can you tell us about these events and
Yes, this is
would be interesting for and why for researchers?
Absolutely. So this is a conference next year. Just today, it is this year conference is going on in Texas, virtually. But next year, we are working to make this a physical event, and it's a very hot topic of combining artificial intelligence and user interfaces. It's a very big topic, and it is a great opportunity for researchers in a variety of fields to submit their work and come and see how attractive Finland is because it's so innovative. It's a place with a very high quality of life, as can be seen from the many rankings that Finland usually wins or comes into the very, let's say, high rankings. And this is, it is in a way sometime. I think we have in Finland the opportunity to be competing with the best places in the world, but people not always know Finland as much as they know, I don't know, MIT or other places. And so these kind of events are fantastic because they're really able to show concretely to people how great here is and the very high quality of the university. That's why we are both here, I think. And it will be a great event, and we are certain that it will be finally a physical event where we can meet people and eat together and drink together.
Network or have
And
great
network,
people together.
yes.
Yes, great. Vincenzo, maybe let's go back to you for a little. I mean, I have something I wanted to ask you is that how does doing research abroad in different countries has helped develop your career?
Well, I think to be very honest, has been the key, I think, factor of my career to have had the opportunity to move around. That's been just what has really made, as a scientist, what I am today. I would not have been what I am now if I would have stayed only in Naples, which was a great place, or only in Houston, which was a great place, or eventually only here. I mean, scientists, I always say that scientists are a little bit like soccer players. If you are a scientist, you should know that from time to time you need to change your team. It doesn't really matter. I don't see as a team. I don't see I'm playing for Finland or for Italy or for US. I'm just playing for science, period. I like to get stuff done the way I want it. I like my project. I want to see the end of them, whatever it takes. If it's Finland, it's Finland. If it's Italy, it's Italy. If it's Italy and Finland, which is, by the way, my real truth, because in all said, one thing I forgot to say, which also helps a lot, I always had a dream when I was a young scientist to be professor at least in two places, but eventually even more, so that to speed up the movement of people and reagent and ideas. And so I ended up being professor also at University of Naples since a couple of years, which has been so far a fantastic, it's a part-time, of course, affiliation, but it's been a fantastic opportunity to meet new people, to see the excitement of new students, to recruit people here. I mean, I have a lot of students in my lab now that have been student in my course there, and I supervise students from there remotely. So I see, I mean, I should thank a lot of people and I should thank a lot of things I've done. But if there would be the only thing to thank, I will thank the mobility. That has been key. It's painful, especially for a person like me, probably much more than other personalities. But on the other end, that's been the only way. I would have not done anything if I would have stayed in only one place, whatever that was, even Harvard or MIT.
And Julia, what's your opinion about it? What's, in your opinion, was the right age to start mobility in a research career?
I think it probably depends a lot on. Also, I myself, I started mobility during while I was studying as an engineer, and I tried to look for the most difficult place, which at that time I thought would be to study engineering in German. And then I also studied all sorts of informatics, theoretical informatics, everything in German. And I thought I wanted to do something challenging. And that was a very important experience for me. So I think it's probably never too early. And also never too late. I don't know. There is a saying that goes like that. I don't know. But that was for me a very important experience. I started working also in Germany, and definitely I would say during the master, or the bachelor, it's a fantastic time to go out. You can have fun and learn new things, a new language. It's very important also then when you want to really make use of this mobility for professional reasons later in life, that you already know well languages. So I really, even in high school, there is a very nice mobility programs, but definitely at the bachelor and master level, I would suggest there are very nice Erasmus programs and so on to take advantage of.
So they're a little better, basically.
Yes, they're a
and
little
let's
better.
continue with that one as
Yes,
well.
even for me,
the work
I'm
career.
looking around where I should go for a research visit myself. So it's never too late either.
Absolutely.
Indeed. And actually, what about Finnish researchers and professors contributing to Italy or going to Italy? You mentioned that you've been cooperating a lot with from Finland perspective to Trento, Padova, and so on. Do you have any suggestions for Finnish that are interested to have an experience in Italy?
Yes, I think Italian university, maybe Vincenzo might know even better, but I think Italian university in the last, let's say, decade at least, have been also doing very good internationalization in terms of courses, are more and more in English. So it's, I have met over the years many instances of students, researchers that want to go to Italy. First of all, because they love the Italian culture, but also there are some excellences in Italy. And I think we are also doing exceptional effort in Italian universities to welcome in a more international way. People, I'm very happy about that, and I urge universities to continue that and researchers to look for opportunities.
You're very right, Giulio. As a matter of fact, my course in Italy, it's two-channel course, it's two-language course. So I teach in Italian in the morning and the same lecture in English in the afternoon, and students can just select which channel to get. So I have, of course, I have about 80, 85 students, in Italian, and about 15, 20 students in English. So the number, but still, I mean, I'm very, very surprised that that we are now reaching the level of internationalization that is so high that actually the courses are two languages, which is, I think it's a very, very good step forward.
Yeah, I think that was a great improvement, especially if I considered my time when I was in university. I was very interested to go and study abroad, but then one of the barrier was that I was not very fluent with many other languages. So the main one that I could have looked for was in English language, and there were a few places at that time that would have been able to provide lectures and courses in English language. Versus nowadays seems to be more and more of a common, either just to do it in English or to do it with mixed languages, so that it gives a much broader opportunities to students
Absolutely. Yes.
and
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
researchers. So yeah, great. Any other input that you have, or any other suggestions for, well, Italian researchers or interested in research wanting to approach Finland, or Finnish that wants to approach in Italy for research?
Well, what I want to say maybe at the end, in Italian in Finland, I love this country. I love the relation you have with nature here. I love the how the work is really easy in a way, because you can really concentrate on doing the work and avoid a lot of extra things that are not maybe so necessary. But of course, I miss Italy tremendously, and I always dream to go back to Italy. And this is, I guess, this would be quite nice to live Europe in this way, that we don't think, I mean, Finland or in Italy, like Vincenzo was saying, but to think of a fluid way to help young people emerge and find talent no matter where you are. So I think we are doing very good steps.
Yes,
for doing
absolutely.
this.
I totally agree. I mean, just like, endorse these, absolutely. This was, I mean, of course, as I was I was the first Erasmus at my university when the Erasmus really started. And, back then it seemed like, a dream to have these fast exchanges. But I think we are getting there, and, that's where it means we have just done good.
Well, the world is evolving, and we have positive sides of the viruses as well, and
Absolutely.
even for
Yeah,
researchers
so-
across Europe and support mobility.
Much more positive sides of viruses than the negative sides of viruses.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. This has been really entertaining and really, in my opinion, useful for the audience. And maybe we have to start to wrap up the sessions. And well, I wanted to talk to the ambassador Pagano for triggering this to happen. And I would like to thank the Vice Rector Erola, Curcio, Janucci, and as well as Cirullo, for your valuable contribution and for the session we had together. And then I think I want to thank you, even the rest of the staff of the embassy and the organizers here with us for making this happen. I would have not been able to make it happen all on my own. And yeah, and I don't know, one thing that to foster this capability to travel and connect, we might welcome eventually the embassy to continue these activities, and maybe in the future organize even some physical gathering to be able to connect people and stimulate further the mobility and foster the growth of the culture internationalization.
Absolutely.
And well, then I would like to thank you as well, our audience, for joining us and for supporting us, and all the positive message that I heard. So thank you very much, and well, all the best for the Italian research in the world.